Hey, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a look at the Steelers offensive line coming off their week 2 performance against the Jacksonville Jaguars, preseason performance that is. Gonna look at a couple of players, focusing mainly on Dan Moore and Kevin Dotson and James Daniels. Let's take a look at this next play. We got James Daniel getting kind of stood up. Good first step, engaging this defender. The problem is, defender gets under his pads, walks him back, kind of one-arms him, and is in position to make the tackle. I'd argue that maybe this run design is designed to cut back left, which means James Daniels' block would be just fine. The real problem is what's happening on this left side. Kendrick Green doesn't do a good job, but Dan Moore does him no favors. It's kind of like a lack of cohesion, and Dan Moore actually bumps 95 into the backfield to make the play. So let's watch it here. We've got Green, does a decent job, at least gets square and hands on the defender. And here comes Dan Moore to chip, because Dan Moore's looking for work, but guess what happens? He chips 95 right into the backfield. Wanted to look at another play where James Daniel didn't look great, but I think he also, didn't look awful. Really, his first step is inside, which is fine, but I think he just misses with his first punch, and then he's forced to recover. We'll take another look at where I thought Daniels struggled a little bit. He gets walked back, doesn't do a great job of anchoring. So the good sign is that the coaching staff feels comfortable enough to match up Daniels one-on-one versus these D tackles. He does a decent job of using his hands. He's hand fighting here. He's resetting his hands. The defender just kind of got into him. He does a decent job of anchoring at the very end, just in time to, let his quarterback make the throw. Looks like, again, we're having an issue on this left side. This time it's Moore and Dotson. So let's break that down real quick. It looks like here Dotson just gets a little caught in the middle of two assignments. So, here we've got a 3-on-2, 3 Steelers linemen versus these two. So Dotson's trying to do his best to help on both, ends up not really helping on either. So you see his initial chip, he's got his eyes over here watching for a blitz or to help. When he doesn't see the blitz come, he decides to put a right shoulder into 95 here. He gets a little low. I'd like to maybe see him keep his head up because it keeps him, not able to recover left as well. You see now he's kind of on his heels. Meanwhile, Josh Allen is really, beating Moore. Again, Moore struggled in this game. But Dotson doesn't do him any favors by being late on the help. Josh Allen does a great job of just crossing the face of Moore once he sees this opening and getting a hit on Trubisky. So would like to see, and I think in fairness to Moore, his responsibilities this arc. He can't get beat to the left shoulder. So his set is a little wide, but that's because he knows he should have help here. And he doesn't end up getting it. He's protecting that arc, his left shoulder. He gets, pushed back a little bit, but with this 3-on-2, Dotson needs to be there to help. So a little lack of cohesion. Certainly, not what you like to see, but also fixable. So next I thought we could take a look at a few plays where I thought James Daniel recovered nicely. So here he's one-on-one versus the D tackle again, and he does a good job of kind of, holding up his responsibility in the run game. The defender kind of long arms him at one point, so the defender has the leverage to Moore's right shoulder, but, this running play is designed to come up here. So, James Daniel, great first step, squaring his shoulders, not giving up the inside. Gets nice and set and anchored. The problem on this play is Moore's lack of aggressiveness. So we can see here, there's a double team on this other tackle. Tight end does a decent job on this end here. And Moore's got, I think his responsibility is to pick up this linebacker, and maybe hoping that the guard is going to pull off and take care of this, peel off and take care of this linebacker. However, there's a lot of space here. That's probably about 7 yards. Moore's got to either come up towards this defender or engage the closer defender. He does neither, and then 54 and 48 just collapse down on Warren, and Moore is left standing, having blocked nobody. So let's look at it again. Moore's out in space. He's doing his job, but at this point, he's got to pick somebody and attack to block in space. He picks nobody, and at the end, it looks like he's picked 54, but he stops his feet here. Instead of going towards him, he just waits for the contact. So, maybe that's coaching, maybe that's a lack of aggressiveness. Not what you want to see, though. Here's another play where I thought, James Daniels does a decent job in pass pro. He's working against 44 here. He knows he's got help on the inside here. He works well with Okorafor here, and he knows he's got his center. This is good cohesion, picking up any stunts or twists, and you see the center does just that. We'll see the problem again is going to be on the left side of the line with Dan Moore, unfortunately. And this play, is not completely on Moore. There's just, again, a little unfortunate cohesion. Here we've got 3 on 2 if we count the tight end. So, this time it's Dan Moore who's kind of got the responsibility to help Dotson with the tackle, but also make sure that, he's going to help this tight end 41. So he's looking over at 41. Arden Key actually really makes a good play here. He swipes Dotson's hands initially and then gets really skinny, and Dan Moore is looking over here, expecting to maybe lean a right shoulder in to help Dotson, not expecting Dotson to be completely beat. Once Key gets his shoulder into him, Dan Moore is kind of off balance to start and just gets pushed back into the quarterback. So I'm not going to put this completely on Dan Moore. If you look here, his eyes are to his responsibility, and that's part of what is the reason he gets put on skates. Let's just appreciate what Key does here to Dotson. Dotson's moving his feet well enough. He just tends to get a little bit lungy, a little bit leaning forward, and if the defender does a good job on his hands, he can't always engage the way you want to see. But I thought that was actually one of Dotson's worst plays. The rest of the game, he looked pretty solid, so I'm comfortable with him taking over for Kendrick Green. Let's continue looking at where Daniels does a nice job recovering. So this is pass protection here, one-on-one, and does a good job of kind of engaging, anchoring, continuing to hand fight. And this is an example of what I was talking about. You can let the defender kind of walk up the arc of your outside shoulder because that's still preserving a good pocket. And Daniels does that. He doesn't give up the inside. He has good enough leverage, good enough engagement where, this defender, he's going to use his hands so the defender can't then turn the corner. And even though he kind of gets in close, Moore has walked him up the arc and holds him off right here just well enough. So one-on-one matchup, you feel good about that. It lets you get a 3-on-2 over on the left side of the line, where I thought Dan Moore represented himself decently in pass coverage, pass protection, I mean. We'll take a look at him here. He moves his feet, good first kick step, because he knows he has help. He just doesn't want to get beat outside. Does well here. The defender jabs inside. Moore doesn't overbite. But he does end up getting beat a little bit to the outside. Does good with the initial contact. Defender, this is number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker, does a good job dipping the shoulder right there, ripping, and this is where Moore's got to be careful with especially the optics. If he arm bars here, he's going to get called for the hold. So it's close. I don't think he held on this because he's not impeding the progress, and he kind of disengages right here at the very end. So an example where I thought Moore kind of held up his own in pass coverage, a good thing to see, considering how much he struggled in this game. All right, you guys, that's the end of part 1 of this video. In part 2, we're going to take a look at a little more of Dan Moore's struggles, but also some promising reps by Kevin Dotson at left guard. And then finally, we'll take a look at 2 younger tackles on the team that could be potential replacement for Dan Moore's struggles. So be sure you check out part 2. Thanks.